Hello.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the live Q&A.
We've got so many people here already. So nice to see you. Hello, Ricky, Laura, Tarot by Lupo, Linda. Oh, hi, everyone.
Welcome
so
back.
Glad you could make it as well, Laura.
Yeah.
So glad everybody could be here. So glad we could be here too.
I've got a bigger deck of the Rider-Waite Illuminated Tarot. I've decided I'm going to just use the bigger deck. I think it might be easier for you all to see the cards in more detail like that. So, oh my gosh, there's all kinds of questions coming in. Jolly good day, Ethan.
Hello, Ethan.
Let's jump into the questions starting at the top if you want to navigate that for us, Crystal.
I
and I'll start.
certainly can. Let me lean in here and see.
How was your long weekend, everybody? How was your time? Did you get a chance to spend time with family? Were you able to be outdoors? How are you feeling? If you looked at my live forecast with Beyond Mystic this week, it was a lot about extremes, a lot about highs and lows, and a lot of juxtaposition energy, which always brings us to the conclusion that one of the best ways to navigate weeks like this is to keep a good sense of humor. Breathe deeply, stay grounded, keep a good sense of humor. Okay, so where are we starting?
And to self-regulate. Mm-hmm. And I heard something this morning where what I was listening to was encouraging to speak to it in terms of self-resonate over self-regulate. And I feel like nervous system resonating is lovely to think about.
Yeah, the word regulating sounds like, regulations. You got to do this. You're doing it wrong. You got to do it this way. So resonating is an invitation into, I hear, the grace of our own personal power.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, will the world open up more to the love frequency of creation soon?
Mm-hmm. Let's add on to that, Laura. Thank you for your question. Let's add on to that. And how can we support that in happening? What can we do to assist that process?
That's a beautiful question and a beautiful place to start. Let's come into our hearts. Let's come into that frequency of love. And we can all take a nice deep breath into that space and start to tune in with the frequency of love frequency and creation. Because that begins in us, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The middle one is what I'm feeling. All right. Oh, we're going to switch to this view here. There we go. So we're starting off with this King of Pentacles. The love frequency has a lot to do with us feeling secure in ourselves. It's a type of, what I'm hearing is it's a type of confidence. It's a type of, and we have to be confident in, the outer world? Do we have to be confident in our material security? Do we have to be confident in our, our bank accounts or whatever? Or is confidence about something else? Like, what is self-confidence I'm hearing? Because this King of Pentacles, it's like, there's a feeling with him, he could show up in a barren landscape with nothing and he could create a paradise. He is the most actualized material resource construction developer of the 78 cards. He's all about, no matter what you have, you can build a beautiful new world with it. And what gives him that confidence is his skills and his attitude. It's really his attitude. He sees where everybody else sees deficit, challenge, lack, scarcity. He sees, look at all we have to work with. He just sees possibilities, even in the most desolate circumstances. So, yeah, he's, among other things, he's associated with wealth. He's associated with, um, resources and working well with resources, but he's the most wealthy, actualized character of the tarot. He is the most developed in that area. So, what do you feel about him, Crystal, just from him showing up first here?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like our ability to come into love and creation begins with safety, and what I associate him with, how I say associate him with safety, is that the root. It's that real grounded feeling that the King of Pentacles has, because he's so actualized in his root, in the 3D material sort of root chakra energy of the provider and the actualizer, and the abundance that comes from that place. And that is that feeling of safety and groundedness, which then we can expand out. Like if we're thinking about the creation of the expansiveness of the tree, right, is having those roots that go down so that we can come into our full frequency of love and creation. Look at that.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
This is a lot about, you were asking about the love frequency, and they're saying it starts in the physical world. It starts in our physical experience of what has value. How confident are we in our, as Crystal's saying, in our safety, our security? This king is probably the most hardworking of all, the cards of the tarot, but he doesn't just throw himself at everything. He doesn't have that manic work ethic. It's all about like building on his successes. So he has the confidence that he can turn any situation into abundance. And it's followed up. The next card is about that exact thing. It is like the most abundant. It's the legacy card. It's the card of shared wealth. Everyone flourishing. And so far, your question about the love frequency of creation, it looks like we're going to start in 3D. We're going to start by building confidence in how we actualize with our resources, and how we prioritize what we do in 3D builds the foundation for us to feel safe. Okay, and then the final one. So we could go where we are, where we're going, how we're getting there. The final card is the Four of Swords, which, yeah, it's more about knowing what there looks like, because this fellow is he's taking a repose to contemplate deeply. And again, the golden sword that is developing beneath him. It's like he's, I look at all this gold in all of these cards, all this yellow gold energy. It's even how it starts up here and goes down. It's like we're going to bring our frequency into making beautiful contribution, beautiful creation in 3D.
I also see, with so much of this being like with having the legacy card here, and then to me, this sort of like final resting place kind of card here. We have done some work with some, conversations around death and what matters to me in this world as you exit. And when you think about the legacy with which you leave, it's kind of like beginning with the end in mind, the end of this 3D reality that we're in. And when you consider the gold that you have created, that is you when you go to your final resting place, what does that look like? And if you create from that space of the biggest gift of love and creation is the life with which you've led, and how you've led it. And so if you start with that feeling and that space in mind, that's what you create from.
It's interesting. I just thank you, Crystal. I just flashed over into the comments and saw Susan's comment about the Pope being gone, and I was noticing in this card this image in the window, in the stained glass window. There's a lot of sort of medieval energy. There's a lot of like the Church of Rome, the old world cabal, the institutions of the elites and so on. It's sort of like it is showing me like the era is definitely coming to a close. Like it's over. I think it's really been over for like 30 or 40 years actually. But we've got like still almost like the exoskeleton of it is still there. It's the illusion that it's still in place that exists and is still weighing on us.
Which is very much that Three of Swords energy, right?
Yeah, but it's also because we don't know what we're replacing it with. You talk so often to people, when we think about the love frequency of creation, we can all imagine what that feels like, but we can't imagine what it looks like. It's really hard to imagine. We're talking about the elections here coming up this week, and it's really hard to imagine, like we're all still going like, okay, do we have this version, that version, who's going to do what job, and how are they going to help us to move into a better loving frequency and into better 3D reality? But meanwhile, the whole thing is kind of like just rigged from the get-go. It's like it just doesn't work, period. So it's like what really is required is that we have the confidence to say, we can rebuild, we can create something new. We got to know what that looks like. And to do that, we got to go inward and have some real, like deep contemplation about what do different systems that replace this look like. So let's see where we go next. I think this is a great start.
Lots of chatting happening here and lots of questions. So I don't know that we'll get to both. And Laura, we're going to move on to someone else's question, and then maybe we'll come back and answer your second one. You think?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Just to let people get questions in.
Yeah.
Liberation. Okay.
Yeah, let's go to Ricky's question.
Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hi. Was Liberation Day the day the war ended against the deep state criminal cabal, or was it the beginning of the war in the open, where more humans can see and understand what's going on?
Great question. Yeah, great question. Thanks, Crystal. Okay, so I'm going to actually lay 3 cards for both versions. On this side is going to be, was it the day
war that ended the deep state criminal cabal,
or the beginning of the war in the open, where more? So we're going to do 3.
The war ended against the deep state criminal cabal.
Yeah. Okay. So this is, was it the day that the war actually ended? Or was it the day that the war came out in the open? I think it was the day that the war actually ended. But again, like I said about that 4 of Swords, we're still living with the exoskeleton of the Cabal. We're still living. We haven't thrown it off to replace it with something because we don't know what we're replacing it with. It's sort of like because we don't know what to do next, we're still looking over here and going, I don't think it's ended. Like it's still happening, right? Like why isn't it shifted? And I think that's a little bit of magical thinking, that we think someone is going to come in and make a new world. I almost said a woo world. Someone's going to come in and make a woo world. Is it you? Like, is it me? Who is it that's making that? We're looking outside of us for the answer. I do think, according to this, that your first part 1 is accurate. The Liberation Day was the day the war ended against the deep state. Yes, this is a yes card, the aces, Ace of Pentacles, and a final ace in the hole, you could say. And the like kind of return of power, the change of hands, but we're still looking over as if it's not happening. Do you see anything in that, Crystal?
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's a bit of both, and where we sort of have the power of the Cabal has ended, the power with which they have held us down through this overbearing, the elitism, the top down control has it shifted there. It ended, and yet we're still energetically being put through the paces of that, like you said, the exoskeleton of it. We're in more like information wars and energetic wars, as opposed to more of the material reality of how the Cabal affected us in the past. And this is pushing us into this space of needing to go into the deeper journey within ourselves.
Yeah, they're saying the outside deep state has been dealt with. The inside deep state is now at our doorstep, meaning.
So when it comes more out into the open, pardon me, Mama, I didn't mean meaning.
Just meaning that it's going to the way that we've carried it and the way we've all made agreements with it and are unconsciously, subconsciously just going ahead with those plans and programs. Like we tell ourselves we're not, but we still are. We're still held in that kind of bondage in a way. So we have to free ourselves from that, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, we get to.
I'm going to pull one more card here in the middle. Oh, wow. Interesting. So, yeah, this has to do with also we want to reclaim our culture, our traditions, our spirituality. We don't want to be cast adrift with nothing, right? Yes. We don't want to be like, if everything comes down, if culture comes down and traditions come down and the infrastructures come down and the religions come down, it's like, what do we have to guide us? Like we haven't got the replacement. And so it holds on until we take from the old. It's almost like they're saying it's sort of like, if you pull down an old structure and literally just demolish it, smash it to smithereens, then you've got nothing to build anew with. They're saying, like, can we take from the old and reconstruct something with those, some of the old bricks and mortar? Like, can we recycle some of that? Because if we just blow it to smithereens, we're going to just be standing in a pile of rubble, is what I'm hearing.
And we're already doing it. It's already happening. There's so much that is coming in the way of creating these new systems, because we're creating these new systems inside of us. And with the way then that we interact with each other and the way that we interact with these power forces. And then from that place, we're able to design new systems And maybe not even new, but revamp old systems. And
we've got 2 5s in this little tiny spread, 2 5s, and the 5s are, we're mastering. The challenge is to we're pulling ourselves out of this old sticky system. It's so interesting. Crystal's been doing this course. What is it called exactly? What is the name of it?
Good with Money.
Good with
Kate
Money.
Northrup. Whoa.
Yeah. So this working with connecting with, as we were saying earlier, like, look at all the pentacles, these 2 pentacles here. In actual 3D, things have shifted, but as I say, we're still living with that. We could easily just carry on recreating it. And there's a lot of people, I like to call it the steam engine analogy, where, you've got this train that's going full tilt. And even when you put the brakes on and stop fueling it, it takes such a long time for it to finally, if you stop fueling it, it could go on and on and on just by momentum for a really long time, right? Even if you apply the brakes, it still takes a really long time for it to come to a complete stop. So this is what's happening. This is us putting on the brakes and going like, okay, do we want to have a big crash here and have everything demolished? Or do we want to start rebuilding before the old is completely gone? I think, to me, that makes the most sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We are rebuilding all the time. And LMB says to go through this with the knowledge we now possess and be non-reactive is a lesson. Ego is a 3D manipulation. Let go of fear, lack, sadness, as it's all of the past. The future is love. And, we're all working at that. And in order to let go of those things, we're learning what those things even really feel like and how they show up in our lives in these different ways. Because it's not always just fear. Sometimes fear can feel different. And there is a whole lot of learning the lessons that we're going through right now. So how very exciting to have the tools to do so. And to support each other in that. One of the things that I'm seeing in this free program that I'm taking, which is phenomenal in value for what we're receiving, is that everyone is doing it. Holy moly, when you think, oh yeah, that's how I feel, it's like bing, 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 and everybody's like, me too, me too, me too, me too, me too. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like
yeah,
we're all really in this together. And that's powerful. That's potent.
Yeah. Look at this Sun and the creative Queen of Wands. Creativity, unleashing our full potential. When our creativity kicks in fully, let's just say, let's give ourselves a lead in of like 3 or 4 years. But when this really kicks in and we get going, the momentum will be off the charts. Like, things will just grow beautifully. It's like when you plant your garden and you're at that point where it's like nothing's growing. And then you come out one day, there's been a bit of rain, there's been some sun, and a lot of patience. And all of a sudden everything's just popping. That is what it's going to feel like here. We're going to go from feeling stuck, like we were going backwards, like everything was crumbling, like we were being like held down, to everything just miraculously is starting to shift. And I really have a strong feeling we're going to not only live to see that, but it is going to come really sooner than later. So let's go to the next question.
Okay,
Crystal?
let's find it. Hold on one moment here. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. So we had Ricky's question. Thank you, Ricky. And now we're going to go down here, and we've got one here.
Okay.
What do the cards reveal about Jason Shurka and his healing centers developing around the world? He seems to have a shady salesman energy, but maybe I'm wrong.
Okay, let's have a look.
Should I shuffle it?
Sure. Yeah, sure. You do that on this one. Sure.
Okay. I truthfully don't know who Jason Shurka is, but I'm going to tune in with this fellow's name here, Electrical Girl. And I'm actually pretty good with these things. So let's see what comes through here. Jason Shurka. Healing centers, hey? Go ahead, Mama. First one. Yeah.
That could go either way. That's not very definitive. They could be well aspected. I'm going to pull two more. Oh, two aces.
So I'd say good.
I'd say pretty good. Oh, three aces.
3 aces. Woo! This guy's on fire.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks pretty good. This looks like someone that maybe has, I'm going to just jump out on a limb here a little bit, do some past life analysis. This feels like someone who has come to restore our faith in a way. Like this person may have had lifetimes where they were really part of the controlling mechanisms of the church connected to state and the elite, cabal and so on throughout history. And so they came this lifetime, but they also have past life connections to ancient sort of mystery school Gnosticism, like the old world wisdoms, and they've come to repair some of the damage that the church has done. So it's interesting. We have the Pope that just passed away, whatever that is about, whatever's actually happening. There is something about, I do believe that old system is about to reset itself. And we're going to see people who are coming to do healing so that, again, we don't throw everything to do with Christianity out, that we actually, go in with people, incredible visionaries, healers, academic researchers that give us so much more of the full story of not only Christianity, but the other major religions as well. I feel like we're going to get a renewal.
So much renewal.
Much
renewal, and so much of the discovery of the, like, kind of as above, so below, like the power with the external power is the power within, and vice versa. Like there's something about him leading us to the understanding of the power with which we possess, like the healing power that we possess in our being. It's like, it's very like solitary. It's like the new beginning and the one source.
Absolutely. It, like, almost that the original teachings of Christ consciousness is about becoming your own religion, your own, like, not, you are in direct communication with source, with creator, and that you are this autonomous being and you become Christ-like. You don't follow Christ, you follow the example that Christ sets. So it feels like it is connected not only to healing, but also to bringing us to almost like original messages around, where the religions came from.
I think it looks certainly like a good path. That's his claim. He trained through a person of good from mysterious origins, light family or something like that. Yeah. I mean,
and again, whatever he's done with this, it feels like at the very least at this point, he offers, what I always look for in these healers, teachers, is do they open up? Does their teaching open up and inspire you to offer you more choice, or does it start to limit your choice? Like as soon
Yeah,
as,
it's what we do with
if
it.
you look
That's what I was hearing
into
too.
any sort of cults or things like that, they start by expanding you, but there's a point where they actually constrict you and say the only way
Mm-hmm.
now is
Mm-hmm.
to go through us, because we are the only ones that have this. We are the only ones with this lineage. We are the only ones with this.
Yes.
If it starts to close the doors, and it, a great teacher, a great spiritual teacher, healer, and leader will give you exponential doors opening and no doors closing on your spiritual journey. A cult will start like that, but then it will start closing all the doors in. So if you see the doors closing, I don't want to read on this guy, permanently. We can't know what he's going to do for the rest of his lifetime with whatever training he's received and whoever he is, whatever his mission is. It looks like he's off to a pretty good start here. And I would also always caution you to keep an eye on people. And if they start to close doors and tell you, nope, you can't do it that way. You have to go through us. This is the only way. Sayonara. Thank you for what I got from whatever your teaching is. And I'm moving on, because it only goes so far, right?
Are they giving you the tools to find the power within yourself, to find the healing within yourself? And that was a part of what I just did too. She gave us a couple of regulatory tools, self-resonating tools, and she was like, don't just say, okay, this is going to make me regulate because I'm telling you that it does. This is how you test the regulation, and then let's do the exercise and test it after. Did that help? Did it regulate you, or did it dysregulate you more? Or did you have improvement or not? Let's try another one. Did this one work? And then it's like she gives you multiple tools to be able to, like, don't just follow me, follow you.
Totally. And that is like, it looks like the potential here is that he could bring multiple tools.
Yes.
And if that's the case, and he keeps you going, like, choose to learn from your own inner wisdom and keep all your options open. If that's the case, then I feel like this guy is definitely someone to, like, go towards and learn from. And as I said, always be aware. Yeah.
I picked up that Jason Shurka is trying to do good, but obviously he will have a profit center for those that don't want to do the inner work. Keep an eye on the teachings. Yeah. Always.
Awesome. Thank you, Ricky.
Always. All right. What do we got here? And there was a question under that question.
Oh, this is interesting.
Are our previous lives shown in fingerprints? Is this why the evil ones want our biometrics apart from our blood?
Interesting. Well, okay, so I just have to say that I have done some palmistry training, and I actually, one of the parts that I liked the most when I studied palmistry was fingerprint whirls. We all have whirls on our fingerprints, and there are, I think, 3 or 4 different types, and how many you have, what types you have, which fingers they're on, all of that means something. So absolutely.
How many of you are looking at your finger whirls right now?
That could be a cool thing to teach about. And I have to quickly tell a funny story about it, because I used to work for an organization. Well, it was basically a store, but they had a lot of intuitives working for them, and we used to do these big events, and they were amazing. We had different modalities. Some people were tarot readers, some people were mediums, some people were palm readers and tea leaf readers, and so on. And most of us could do at least 2 or 3 different things. Anyway, this particular event, they wanted palm readers, and we were all like, there was a couple people that were good at it. The rest of us were like, I don't know, I'm going to need to study this a little bit. So very wisely, our teacher said, look, just pick one area and learn that really well. And so I looked at the whole study of palm reading and I picked the fingerprint whirls and I learned it really well. And I went and I did like a 4-hour event where I read like, I don't know, 50 people's finger whirls. And by the end of it, it was like so much stuff was coming to me through these like fingerprint whirl things. It was literally like looking into someone's, as you're saying, the biometrics of their soul. It was so much profound information in the fingertips and so much individual, unique, like a map of who we are. So I was blown away. I was actually, even with all my gifts and all the different ways that I've practiced divination, I was quite surprised at how much information I could see in people's hands. So, and especially in there. Oh, this one wants to come on the top. So, is this why they want our biometrics? So that they know more about who we are. Yeah, interesting.
When I went to get my ID renewed, she told me I had a perfect fingerprint. What's up with that? Fingerprints for ID? Is that something we have to do?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of face recognition software now and touch software, which is basically your fingerprints. So I think this is a pretty big topic. And we are, I think we're in interesting territory right now. This could go one of two ways. The lovers are about two paths, two choices. And it's very interesting. It's a bit like the Garden of Eden and the origin of our DNA and where we want to go with all of this. Like we have the choice. We could actually, we could do stuff with the information in people's fingertips. I think it could be something where the scientists want to understand, almost like your algorithms. They want to understand, according to your DNA, your blood, and your fingerprints, how are you utilizing what you've been given? And how does that connect with who you are as a soul? I mean, it's pretty big stuff, right? And I think that, to me, I always feel like I go to the heart center and I'm like, I think it's beautiful to explore DNA, things like the relevance of fingerprints and palmistry and how it can show us the decoding of our, almost like going into the Akashic records. You can see a lot of who you are. And I think to really inspire us in the awe of how extraordinary we are is a big gold star. Yes, check mark. If it's about how do we manipulate creation, it's a big no for me. No.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in, we're going to get in there and try to hack creation. It's like thumbs down from me. Yeah. Right.
I also avoid using a thumbprint to log into my phone.
Yeah.
Or face recognition software to log into my phone.
Yeah.
I mean, and who knows how long we can avoid things like this. But there is certainly power into, it seems like, our fingerprints don't just give a way to track us. It gives them a whole picture of something. It's like a big picture overview,
right?
Like a full vantage point of the being that is in that fingerprint.
Totally. And I really get that they're using it, just as you said, they're using it to cross-reference with things like our blood and our DNA. Like it's sort of like looking at those three together, the three of wands, and going like, And then what are we going to do with that information? And again, I'm really, really interested in DNA and genetics
Mhm.
and ancestry and how it connects to our past lives.
This is very true. So they look a bit like tree trunks. And could they be connected to different types of trees we represent? Our personal tree of
Oh,
life,
what a
right?
beautiful sentiment, Suzanne.
Yeah.
And I think what you're referring to is that we're getting into the great mysteries here
Mhm.
of just how extraordinary we are, and how, there's even things like there's iridology. You've heard of iridology, where you read the iris of the eye to locate different body systems that could be malfunctioning or have disease or stagnation or whatever. And there's another type of iridology, which I did back in the early 80s, called rayed iridology. And you use the lines in the eye to like basically observe psychological, emotional, mental, and spiritual aspects of the individual, just like a fingerprint.
Like a fingerprint.
So,
Mhm.
all of this is just exquisitely beautiful, like the divine, ecstatic, profound beauty of who we are as these extraordinary beings. And like to really appreciate, honor, and respect that, and be so deeply moved by that. I think it's beautiful to explore. And like I
Mhm.
said, to get in there and try to hack that to create some, like, we're going to improve on creation. It's like, I don't know. That doesn't work for me.
Yeah. I think we do have a choice here, though. I
Hmm.
think we have a choice to choose um, to continue to intend the choice to keep this a sacred part of our beings.
Oh, yeah. Uh, Okay, so Suzanne is saying my kinesiologist
Kinesiologist.
did it. He
Yeah.
mapped my eyes and tongue.
So great.
So again, for healing, for
Mm-hmm.
working with, okay,
Mm-hmm.
we see there's my strengths, there's my
Mm-hmm.
challenges, here's what is not, here's what I need healing and support with. How can I do that? And then also to be able to go, you can actually use something like iridology. You do a protocol and then you
Mm-hmm.
go back 6 months later and
Mm-hmm.
they look at your eyes again and they can tell, is it
Mm-hmm.
working or not? Right? So those kinds of things, diagnostic, for healing, all of that is such a beautiful use of these technologies that are literally reading
Mm-hmm.
the imprints of our eyes, our
Mm-hmm.
fingers, our DNA, and so on. However, and apparently the tongue
And that is the choice, right? That is
mhm,
the choice. They may have access to certain aspects of this, but we have access to utilize it in our way
for our own
for
healing.
our good.
Yeah, look at this,
And
because this is a healing card, right? And the
mm-hmm.
choices card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think we're pretty clear.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, 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 yes.
Okay.
I had something here. Bear with me. Mom, you say some things.
I see some
Mom,
things.
do the talking. Do the talking.
Oh my
The
goodness.
talking.
Well,
I
I'll
don't
tell a
really
quick
like it.
story. I'll
But
tell a
I
quick
got it.
story. We had a very interesting little dinner over the holiday weekend, I'm going to call it. A celebratory dinner. My younger daughter was here visiting, and we decided to do a gift offering to some workmen that were working on the house next door that have been there, and some of them are from different parts of Central and South America, and they are away from their families. And we were like, well, we have lots of food to spare and it's nice to share with more people. So we actually did this feast, and we invited them for Easter, whatever you want to call it. Don't really believe in that particular version of things exactly as we've been taught. But anyway, we did this beautiful dinner, and lo and behold, it turned out that one of these workmen is from Venezuela. And we heard a phenomenally potent and tragic story of how he literally walked to Canada from Venezuela. And
Well, he went.
he,
He did Peru and Colombia first,
yeah,
as part of the journey of necessity,
yeah,
and walked to Canada from Colombia.
yeah. And we were just like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, to hear he's probably in his what, maybe early to mid 30s, and he's
Mhm.
been literally walking for like 5 years. And that it didn't take him that long to get here, but he stopped along the way. But he chose Canada as the ultimate destination for a variety of reasons. And just to hear like what he's been through and what is going on in his home country, and like we really got one of the fellows was very bilingually fluent, and so we were translating and just hearing this story. So there was, on the one hand, the sobering kind of wake up and realization of this individual's story. Like he's an educated engineer, and he's working as a painter, because that's what he needs to do to make money to send it home to his family. And even how he's sending the money home to his family, he can't send it from here. He has to send it to another South American country and have it transferred from there. So there's not suspicion that he's working abroad, and therefore they could extort money from his family. It's just unbelievable. And we were just like so moved. But what was also equally moving was how, like, you know, we ended up having all these great conversations about a whole variety of things. He was laughing and telling jokes, and we were all just having a wonderful time sharing family stories and stuff. And we were like, wow, you go through something like that and still we can relate as people. And it was just a really beautiful gift for us. We weren't
Yeah.
expecting it.
And how our generosity seems like such simple generosity.
Mhm.
It's like, oh yeah, let's have them over. But to them, that's a big thing to do, to share that much food, to have
Mhm.
be able to feed that many people like that, and to openly bring people that you don't really know into your home. I feel like that is their true indigenous way of doing things, and
Mhm.
that is a part that they're missing out on in their culture, which
Mhm.
is so unfortunate. So beautiful to be able to uh, have these
Oh,
perspectives
yeah.
and sharing. I mean, it was just so incredible for the heart. Yeah.
Yeah, and well, thank you. LMB is saying he must have been appalled with the government in Canada. And so interesting. So one of the guys was from Mexico, and we had, by the way, a commercial pilot, a vet, and an engineer. They're
Hmm.
all working as painters.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, one of these guys, what was I just talking about? Woo!
Appalled with the government
Oh,
of
yeah.
Canada.
So they all asked us, once we got talking politics, they all started asking us really poignant questions about
Hmm.
Canada.
Hmm.
And for them, they're just like, oh my gosh, this is Shangri-La, right? But then we started pointing out things, and they literally wanted to know more. Like they weren't necessarily awake, but they were aware and on it. As soon as we mentioned, oh yeah, there's been all these bills that have been passed without going through due process, and they were like, what? And you could
Hmm.
just see all their antenna went up, like,
Hmm.
uh-oh, suspicious,
Hmm.
suspicious, right? And then they asked us more questions and more questions, and we just kept telling them the truth or
Yeah,
version of
and
things.
getting to ask them true insider questions about their country and their government and
Yeah.
how it ended up like that. And so that we have an awareness
Mhm.
of when these things start to push in, that's what we can't allow to happen. And how do we stop that from happening? And how do we see the effect that it's had and
Yeah.
how that could have been different for them?
I mean, we were just kind of like, oh, this is a really nice, friendly, kind thing to do to these fellows that are with their families over the Easter holidays. And we ended up being just like, oh my gosh, it
It
was an
was
absolute
very impactful.
huge education and
Yeah.
tremendous experience on both sides. Like they were so respectful and just, and like very honoring to me as the matriarch of the house. They were just like, came to me at the end and thanked me very, very specifically. And it was so touching. So anyway, thought that's a nice Easter story to share. And Ellen, you're talking right up my alley here. Okay, Crystal, you shuffle on this too. This is one of my favorite questions. Will monetary systems of any kind be irrelevant in the future? So talking about being turned off by truthers that, let's put that part up too, that push silver and crypto. I really don't feel the far off future we will need much for the monetary. So I would love to speak on this.
Yeah, and I mean that was in relevance to the that fellow Jason Shurka having being a schmarmy salesman, real estate background, and so interesting. Yeah, I mean it definitely all ties in. Monetary system here.
Well, if we talk about salesmen with real estate backgrounds, our Mr. Trump and the Trump team definitely fall into that category too, right? So it's like we don't have to agree with everything that the messenger has in their history or their experience to take a message from them. We don't have to agree with, like, it again, this is if we only took messages from people that don't have anything in their background, there'd be no messages received because everybody has something, right? So, but it's also not to just buy everything someone says because they know something. Like they only know what they know, and it's there for you to take what you need from that and discard the rest. So, will monetary systems be irrelevant in the future? Oh, yay! So that is so interesting, right? Do you see this? Do you see the gift? It's almost like a coin. It's like the practice.
It's like M turned upside down.
Oh,
from money to
wealth to W.
Yeah.
You heard it here, folks. That is such a cool way
I've
of speaking.
actually been coaching on this because it's like I've been doing mantras about being wealthy, and I was coaching on that the other day, and my client was like, "Oh no, I don't feel comfortable with being wealthy. That doesn't feel good to me. That's the wealthy people are mean and evil." And I'm like, "Whoa, hold on a minute.
Oh my God, true wealth is money turned upside down."
And look how receiving that is, right?
So yeah, interesting that oh gosh, we could go on and on about this, but so we start with the concept of value and generosity. And then whatever you add to the pot, do you see how the dove of peace is putting the first offering that causes the cup to overflow? So it's about, even thinking about a wishing well. You put your wishes in the wishing well and you throw a coin. It's like you're starting the flow, the frequency of generosity. It begins with an act of giving something, not sacrifice, but gifting something. Gifting is better than giving. So you gift something and it starts the engine of reciprocity and generosity flowing. It starts the flow moving. Okay. And then it doesn't take long for there to be so much that it literally, everybody's cups are overflowing. 10 of cups. It's beyond the wish fulfilled. It's kind of like happy ever after. It's more abundance than we know what to do with. Okay. And it's all in the realm of the emotions. So I'm agreeing with you. This is an inside job. This is about the value, the frequency of value, the frequency of contributionism, of generosity, of, you get that flow going. Okay. So
interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. It's like we need to start it but we also need to know that we are still being run by programs that are dysfunctional. We are still going to be clearing out the trauma-based money systems. I mean, let's just
700 years.
no.
I know the way
7
she
generations.
thinks.
No, how about, let's say 7 years? I think that's reasonable, right?
Yeah.
It's like literally getting
Within 10.
Yeah, like getting it out of every cell of the body. Like every cell that held that old condition is gone. And so it's still, we're still vulnerable to this. We're still vulnerable to, and this is taking me in the direction of speaking to your question, because I actually believe that silver, things like silver, precious metals, and crypto are transitional, what I call transitional currencies, meaning that's not a stop. We don't stop there. We don't go, oh, great, now we've got this new money. We're turning money upside down. We don't have this new money. We just have a way to slowly unplug ourselves from the grid of the old money system. And it's going to feel good, and we're going to want more, and it's going to inspire sharing and generosity and gifting and so on. But we are still products of the old system until we heal all those programs running in the background. We're still going to end up somehow stealing from our future, but because we're so it's not the silver, the crypto. These are not solutions in their own right. They are stepping stones to help us off the old system. So that's what that feels like. There's the silver coin where we're going, this is about changing. It's stepping in the right direction. It's the first step to unplugging from the old system. The next step is getting into the frequency of generosity, contributionism, gifting. And that will feel amazing. And we also have to be aware that we are going to see these old patterns come up in us.
And it's interesting. I feel like the old patterns are us. And that, this monetary system has been created by us. And how do we, we can get into this new area of wealth, this new world wealth that we're talking about with the monetary system, and then you start feeling like this about it. But then if we don't clear this, do we just go back into this messiness with which we created the first monetary system with the new monetary system of wealth? And it goes, there's so many minute aspects to it and layers to it that it's very interesting for us to be sure to continue to pay attention to this and clear it out, even as we step forward into the new ways of doing things, not to get stagnant in it.
I have some examples of this in my personal journey where I've lived in situations with more barter, more trade, and more off the financial grid. And it works very well, certainly in theory. It really does. And everyone feels good about it. We all concur that it feels better in our hearts to live like that. But we all still, step in the poop pile every once in a while, because it's just like we end up acting out our fear. We go into fear. We act out in some sort of controlling, manipulative power, trading power, stealing from the future. It's still there. And so I think there's a graciousness in also what we're willing to shift out of. It's not just what's coming in, but what are we using it to purchase? Because this, to me, when we look at the cups of the 7 of Cups, it's like, you've got castles and jewels and status. And
that really reminds me of when the fellows that we had over were talking about what these elite government officials and the military officials that have all the power over the people, what they're doing with all that wealth, like the disgusting amounts of wealth that they bring in, the big stacks of money, and they're buying gold and chocolate and flowers and like
jewelry
and like all of these like interesting material kind of like gift things, but like
delicacies and like,
yes,
yeah. So basically clothing, jewelry, vehicles, diamonds, gold, like it's just this like indulgence. And
indulgence.
so that they can have what? Like, what is
Mhm.
that actually? It's just like all it just makes them hungry for more. This is like, I call it the hungry ghost. We always want more. And so it's still going to come up in every one of us. We all have this hungry ghost sickness inside of us, which is exactly what Suzanne is saying here: unplug from debt slavery system. Not having to stress about money, we will be able to develop ourselves inside and out, returning to family values and nature. And so the more we start doing that now, and giving the gift of silver and crypto, gold and silver and crypto, is that we get to transition away from the old system, debt slavery system. It's a helpful, it's sort of like having the training wheels on your bicycle, right? It helps us to learn how to get away from that, but eventually they're going to come off too.
Yeah, and to show us that we can do it. But it's not the first time that there's been new financial systems coming in. Like we shifted out of, we shifted into paper money. We shifted into, this credit system that we're in now. And that shift didn't really necessarily change our consciousness for the better. Right. So shifting into these new forms of silver and crypto and all of that kind of stuff, yeah, it's an opportunity to upgrade and it's an opportunity to up level. But if we're not doing that in ourselves and with each other collectively, we're
we
just
recreate
putting yeah.
And I want to say, yeah, the natural goodness of trade through bartering will be what I trust in the future. So I'm excited and delighted to tell you that I've been working for, my gosh, going on 3 years now. I'm designing a system. The program is called Financial Sovereign Freedom. And there's a system of value currency, and it is sort of next level bartering. It has a lot to do with really knowing who you are and learning about value and how to translate that into a system of exchange that is not just about one person, like a transactional one-on-one exchange, but it's about you know opening up the system. Basically, it's hard to describe without giving you the whole program. And I am working on it. It's scheduled to launch through Beyond Mystic. A version of it is scheduled to launch in the fall of 2025. I'm also working on developing a pilot project where we get a group of people to try this system out and see how it operates on the ground. And all of this is something that I plan to devote quite a bit of time to in the next 2 or 3 years and bring this to all of you. So can look forward to
Stay tuned.
more about that.
As we will.
Yeah. So I guess we're over the hour and
come to the end of this live this time.
yeah, so lovely to share with you all as always. And we'll see you in a week.
See you next Tuesday, everyone.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful week. Thank you for being here. Thank you for bringing your energy and your questions and your wisdom and for joining us.
And of course,
it is always a pleasure.
Share, subscribe, do all those good things.
Like, share, subscribe, pass this on to your friends. Totally. Invite some people to join in. Yeah. Thank you for being here.
Blessings,
everybody.
Bye for now.